Go for it.
Friggin' what up, dude? Strider Wilson, and I'm the host of this podcast that's mine. Going to be called History is Dank. History is Dank with Strider Wilson. Dankness from the heart.
Friggin' what up, dude? Welcome to another ep of History is Dank. Dude, I'm your host, Strider Wilson. We got Aaron going beast mode on the sticks, dude.
What up?
Dude, I'm fired up. Dude, I'm feeling thankful, dude. I'm feeling dankful right now, dude. Tis the season of thanks. You know, it's cozy here. It's raining in LA. Maybe the weather has turned. You can tell I got my dank freaking jacket on right now, dude. My freaking little bomber style jacket, legit, dude. Shout out to Masters of the Air. Actually, not that great. I kind of repeal that shout out, even though I love my boy Austin Butler.
You're dressed like it right now.
That's what I base my whole style on that, dude. It's my essence, dude. Just wishing I was a B-17 pilot. So fired up on Turkey Day, and today we're gonna have a little bit of a Turkey Day theme to some of our segments.
Okay.
You know, our topic today is one that might be sort of isolating. I didn't know about. I kind of stumbled into it through my research. The Treaty of Westphalia.
Huh.
So we'll talk about that.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know the deets.
You'll know, and it's kind of more about the influence the treaty had beyond even just the ending of it was the 30 Years' War. But first, we're going to play a little Help Hurt Bone.
Okay.
Haven't done it in a while. I'm fired up. I'm going to be... This one I think you're going to find extra challenging.
Oh, boy.
Okay? I'm going to find out exactly how horny we are. So last episode, when we did a dank off of the equations, we had to give a fat shout out to Hypatia, who in a feature film was played by none other than Rachel Weisz.
Okay.
What up? Enemy at the Gates much? What up? Mummy much? What up? So she's great. All-time actress. Constantine? What up?
Yeah.
So Hypatia, she was like the head philosopher and thinker in Alexandria and Egypt in like around 400 Common Era. Okay. You know, we're talking Hellenized Egypt at this point, freaking Romanized. Actually, yeah, probably Romanized. And you had definitely Romanized, actually. You had a big beef going on, religious beef going down. In Hypatia, she was an amazing thinker, philosopher, mathematician, respected by pretty much everybody in the city and feared by a lot of people. And it was, in fact, she didn't do anything wrong. She was just coming up with fire equations, you know, creating curriculum, being an absolute beast, spreading knowledge, and probably some stoke. And she was the victim of a power struggle between this guy Cyril, the patriarch of Alexandria, and the governor Orestes. So they were, you know, squabbling for power, and she ended up being murdered by a mob of anti-pagan Christians led by this guy named a dude named Peter, of course named after Peter, not the Peter. This was 400 years later. She was dragged from her chariot to the Caesareum, was serving as a church then. There, according to Socrates, his accounts and in his, you know, scribes, they say they stripped her naked, and then after that, so they did a little humiliation, and then after that, they skinned her with sharp oyster shells.
Jeez.
Not a very Christian thing to do.
No.
This was because...
Especially since you're supposed to be anti-shellfish.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. We didn't have New Testament yet.
That's very true. Freaking, dude, Aaron, I didn't even think about that. Good ass call.
Yep.
So she was killed because she held the ear of one of the dudes, you know, go to her for advice and stuff like that. And then I forget if it was Cyril or Orestes. one or the other had her killed because they're like, oh, she's smart and she does good strategy, and people listen to her, and I can't have that because I want to have more control. Also, and so then like basically quelled up religious hate around her. So got like, because she was pagan, she was Greek, right? So she didn't worship Christian Jesus and God, and so he stirred up religious fervor, which there was a lot of religious fervor going on in the city at this time, and roused him up and said, oh yeah, she's been saying bad things, she's sacrilegious and blah blah blah, she's got to go be killed. So that's Hypatia. You could help hurt or bone her, Aaron. Famously, I think she was celibate her whole life. Keep that in mind. But next, we're keeping it in Egypt. I don't know what it is. But we're going about 900 years earlier, 310 BC. Callimachus. This guy's an ancient Greek poet, scholar, librarian, and he was also in Alexandria in the 3rd century BC. Educated in Alexandria, he worked as a school teacher before coming under patronage of King Ptolemy, Philadelphus. There you go, city of Philadelphia. A lot of Egyptian stuff. You got Memphis. You have the Pyramid Bass Pro Shop here in Tennessee. So, influenced by this, of course, Hellenized Egypt. But anyways, he had a great catalog of Greek literature, and he wrote poetry. He influenced a lot of Roman poets, Horace, Ovid. And he would do these like small little like epitaphs, and not epitaphs. That's what goes on the tombstone, but just like tiny little poems. And an example of one, he says, "If sober and inclined to sport, to you, my fair one, I resort, the still forbidden bliss to prove." So he's horny, which I like.
Yeah.
Nothing really bad happened to him, so you have to just decide.
Must be nice.
Nothing crazy. I mean, I'm sure he had his own struggles in life. And then now switching things up entirely, going to about turn of the century, 1800, Seattle, the Pacific Northwest. In fact, we're going to the namesake of the city of Seattle, Chief Seattle, leader of the Suquamish and Duwamish tribes in the Pacific Northwest. He was born, so his lineage, he was the son of a Suquamish father and a Duwamish mother. Probably saying these things all wrong, by the way. Sorry. So it allowed him to gain influence in both tribes. Helped him rise to power. And, he famously took a more passive and peaceful approach to the oncoming, inevitable settling of the white settlers of the Americas. And so it wasn't that he was like, backing down. He was just like, look, if we fight, we're just going to get more people killed to something that's going to be an inevitable takeover. So like, let's just do our best to negotiate. And in fact, they had one of the best deals and were self-sustained. Like their logging operation that was run in the Pacific Northwest by the native tribes, like was very sustainable, and ended up like being basically stolen later in like the 1850s by like the U.S. government backing out on a treaty. And I think I mentioned that in a previous episode. We won't go down that road so much, but speaking of roads, fun fact, you get the term Skid Row from Seattle, because in the gold rush in California, there was this booming market for timber, and most of the villagers were at work cutting trees and skidding them. So what you would do, you would skid them down a log chute to a newly constructed sawmill. So the chute became known as a skid road, and in time it became the main street in Seattle. Though it kept its original name when the Seattle Business District later moved north. The area became, business left. Now it's a haven for drunks, derelicts, probably perverts, and consequently Skid Road became Skid Row, lingo for the dilapidated area of town. So now every city has its Skid Row. So it came from logging industry. Kind of fun. There's a fun fact you can take to your Thanksgiving Day table. So, Aaron, you can choose to help
Mm-hmm.
Chief Seattle, Hypatia, Callimachus. Who do you want to help? Who do you want to hurt? Who do you want to bone?
Well, I think I'm going to help Chief Seattle.
Wow, you're not going to help Hypatia.
No.
Okay.
No.
This proves that you're hornier than I thought, which I like. Which I have to say I like.
Well,
This is very good.
You put Rachel Weisz in my head.
That's why I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose. Very good.
There's two ways about it. I'm gonna bone.
This is why we play the
Hypatia.
game. This is why we play.
But I
want to
help Chief Seattle anyway because I think native tribes needed help.
Yeah.
Staving off elimination.
Yep.
So I guess that means I'm gonna hurt the other dude.
Yeah, he was definitely the choice to hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just go and and honestly, by hurting him, Aaron, you might help him by giving him inspiration for a poem.
There you
Like
go.
if you gave him a wedgie or a Melvin, which is a front wedgie, he might write a poem about that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. When he pulleth my toga up to my ween crack, I did realize I should never turn my back. I think that's the right move, And in this instance, Hypatia, I think she never married. They say she never boned, but who really knows? So, in this instance, you would have been wooing her. You would have come back, and you would have the knowledge you'd have today. You'd go, Hypatia, check out this equation that I have that's about gravity. Check this out. And she would go, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I just show her my phone.
I'm going to make your ween defy gravity now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just show her your phone, bro.
Yeah. Just the calculator.
Dude, take her back a Casio calculator and show her that, a Texas Instrument. Fat shout out, dude.
Just the watch calculator.
Yeah. I'm rocking the Casio watch these days. My little G-Shock. I like it. Basic, nothing special going on. Got it at Zales, bro. So funny. My wife saw something from Zales in the mail. She's like, what? Oh, interesting. I was like, don't even look at it. It's for me. Kidding. Maybe if it's Robinson's Bros. Just pranking my wife buying stuff from Robinson's Bros and Zales all the time.
Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany. Exactly. It's just stuff for me.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I don't even know what I would get that could be. They better sell some sick watches, dude. Better have some sick Casios. Good sterling silver friggin', I don't know. Case for my Zins, dude. All right. Moving right along. Now, we've got our listeners across the pond and all over the globe. That's the beauty of history is Dank. It shoots across the sound waves to any, recess of the globe. And I'm over here talking about Thanksgiving. You might be listening and go, what the hell is that? In America, that's when we celebrate the natives and the colonials coming together and sharing a meal and, a peaceful time. Of course, there were violent times that followed that. And it can be a little bit of a troublesome holiday if you really peel back the layers, We might be turduckening the truth, stuffing the truth inside of a turkey, inside of a duck, inside of a chicken.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, let's play a little game. Thanksgiving always falls on the fourth Thursday of November. That's when we celebrate. It's not like Christmas Day, which is always December 25th. It's the fourth Thursday, so the date's shifting. And this year, 2025, that happens to fall on November the 27th. So I'm saying, what else is going on around the globe on November the 27th? Let's find out. Turns out it's kind of a quiet time. Not too much. I was like, hey, how long is this segment going to be? Not too long, which is actually pretty nice. Funny enough, the first fact that popped up to me was in 1493. Remember, 1492, Christmas Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Christopher Columbus, not Christmas Columbus. His brother, Christmas Columbus, was at the North Pole.
Straight north.
Yeah. Christopher Columbus.
Hard right.
Yeah. Dude, he returned, and funny enough, he returns to a place he called La Navidad colony, finding it destroyed by the first Native American uprising against the Spanish. So it took 1 year against Spanish rule. Taino Sakarasi Caranobo led his people to attack the settlement after the brutal treatment they received from the garrison who disobeyed Columbus's orders. They're saying, I guess Columbus said, don't fucking be a schmoll, don't be an asshole to these people. And whoever was the leader of the garrison was an asshole, was abusive. Columbus also did abusive things, but in this instance, he said, hey, we want to have, economic dealings. We need to be friends with the natives. Let's not do anything bad. Obviously, shit hit the fan. So immediately you have an uprising one year later. In 1807, speaking of colonies, the Portuguese royal family and its court of nearly 15,000 flee Lisbon for Brazil, their colony, to escape the invading Napoleonic troops. Soft. Stay back and fight, dude. 1895, Swedish chemist, maybe you know him, Alfred Nobel, establishes the Nobel Prize through his will, declaring the bulk of his fortune to funding annual awards to those who have conferred the greatest, quote, greatest benefit to humankind. You gotta like that.
Sure.
From the dude who invented dynamite.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, in 1940, this is, of course, November 27th, Bruce Lee's born.
Oh, nice.
Sick. 1942, Jimi Hendrix. Sick.
In Seattle.
And, in Seattle, really?
He's from Seattle. I'm not sure if he's born there specifically. I think
dope.
so.
Man, Seattle's got just some of the best music.
And Bruce Lee's buried in Seattle.
Really?
Yeah, there's a statue.
Dude.
Yep. Johnny Allen Hendrix. Born in Seattle, 1942.
That's beast mode right there. And Harvey Milk, 1978, dies after being shot. San Francisco politician, progressive civil rights for the LGBTQ community. And then famously, his killer used the French fry defense, saying that he had fast food that day, so he was chemically imbalanced.
It was not French fries. It was the Twinkie defense.
The Twinkie defense? There you go. Okay.
He said he had a Twinkie, and that threw off his brain chemistry and made him murder a guy.
I mean, how can they seriously put that in front of a judge and jury?
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Like, Danktorians, if you think it's absurd, it worked.
Yeah.
He got off.
It's a twisted society that we live in.
Played famously by Josh Brolin in the movie Milk.
Yeah, Brolin. Brolin's had some good roles, some good low-key roles.
Yeah.
I just rewatched True Grit. Great movie. Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Unbelievable in that.
Yep.
Dude, she should have got an Oscar for that. I don't know if she did.
She'd be a star. No.
Dude, you see her and you're like, instantly, just the first frame, when she's looking out the train window, you're like, dude, this girl's a good actor. And then you got Jeff Bridges doing a little too gravelly of a voice. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I need to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I like what you're going for. I like the gruffness, but you need to enunciate just a little better here.
It's the last movie I saw with my dad in theaters.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
One of very few I probably saw with my dad in the theater. But
my dad famously talks shit on every movie he sees in the theater. he comes out and he goes, every story's been told. That's what he always says.
Well, True Grit, a remake, so yeah, literally.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, dude, relax, bro. And then he's like, yeah, Cold Mountain. I'm like, I'm like, it's the Odyssey. Just relax. It's a fresh version of the Odyssey. Come on. And then if he watches it in his, like, he's a very big tech guy in the theater that he has in his house, he's like, yeah, it's incredible. And he's always just watching The Fifth Element. He's like, yeah, The Fifth Element's so sick.
It's not.
Dude, I like that movie,
come out
bro.
And say it. It's not that good.
I enjoy that movie.
It's fine. It's entertaining, but it's weird.
Oh, it's unbelievably weird. But that's part of the charm of it.
I guess.
And it's my boy Gary Oldman.
Oldman's.
He's so good.
Never not good.
It's so true. He's so good. Okay. Now, let's get to a little bit, or actually no, let's get to the crux of our episode, the Treaty of Westphalia, 1648. So, this is, of course, the New World has been discovered, but what they say the big deal about this treaty was, and it's one of those things that you look back and they go, oh man, these are the things that they could have, if this would have gone this way, it would have shifted, or slightly different, it would have shifted the course of history. Like, if Hitler doesn't invade Russia, they say it's kind of one of those things. If Hannibal is able to get through the freaking Alps into Rome, that would change the course of history. The Holy Roman Empire falls way earlier. If Ferdinand doesn't turn that little corner, does World War I even happen, right? Archduke Ferdinand.
Yeah.
They say this is on scale with that. So I look and I go, some treaty, dude, some document? What? I mean, we've heard about, the Magna Carta. We've heard about, other famous documents in history, the New Testaments, right? The Old Testament, religious texts. But they're like, this treaty between Spain, Dutch, German, and they signed this treaty in like this place, the region of Germany called Westphalia, and it brought an end to, really these wars are really tough. There's like the 100 Years' War, then there's a break, then there's the 80 Years' War, then there's the 30 Years' War, and they're all basically about land, political sway, power, and religion. And really this one is, the big crux of this treaty is religion. So even more so than the portion of the treaty that says, hey, you can have this region, you'll have this land, and then they set like a year where it's like 1624 or whatever, right? They're like, yeah, that's like their standard year. So they're like, wherever you were at before this, when like the fighting got real serious, we'll revert to that, plus a little bit of land that we've gained or lost. And so they draw basically the borders of Europe, kind of pretty much how we have them today. Of course, there's been shifting after that, but the real thing is these spheres of influence, because this is like the 7 Years' War is what this treaty ends. And in the Westphalian towns of Munster and Osnabrück, France and Sweden.
Munster of the cheese.
Yes. And they're probably eating very good cheese. Is Munster a stinky cheese?
No.
Good. I don't have Munster cheese often, but when I do, I'm always like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Rich. The France and Sweden bring forth this proposition of peace. You have representatives from all these states. Some of them are princes, some of them are diplomats, whatever. There's like even a papal representative there. And basically it's like all about religious toleration in certain areas. They don't like the way people worship, and it's all different forms of Christianity. The Calvinists, you have the Protestants and the Catholics. This is the main beef. And the difficult question is ownership of the spiritual lands was decided. Yeah, that's the 1624. So spiritually, where were we at? So it's crazy like what they're debating. Germany kind of gets boned on their land distribution.
They always find a way to get boned on treaties.
They get boned on this treaty, and they say also like that them getting boned is like very, very early seed planting for, the later wars that are about to happen, World War I and all that type of stuff. Like they're districting because they're landlocked and just all sorts of fucking bullshit, dude. But let's see. They say that because this treaty was signed, it led to sort of a understanding of what Europe is going to look like, and with the discovery of the New World, 150 so-ish years earlier, and in the 1500s, you basically have all this. You have this trade being set up, and then we lead to this big investment in now. The war is going to be settled. Then we can take all of our funds and now go to colonizing the world rather than fighting each other. So Westphalia, one of the fallouts of that is, now around the globe, everyone else is about to get rushed for religious reasons, spreading the word of God in the method that they like. And what's the very first instance the Pilgrims came to Plymouth Rock was, for religious freedoms. So it's a big driver. This treaty really is emblematic and is a document that, of course, holds sway in ending a war, but also symbolizes the economic fuel and religious fuel for colonization around the globe.
It should be said that the Pilgrims came to America seeking freedom to be more strict.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Religiously.
Yeah, dude, you guys aren't hardcore enough.
Yeah.
You guys, you're listening to women too much, dude. We don't like that.
Yeah.
Also, the reason this treaty happened at this time was because everyone was just exhausted. Cities were in ruins, populations decimated. Some villages would have like one woman and a cow left. Estimates ranging between 4.5 to 8 million deaths. Crazy stuff. It kind of like this treaty revolutionized the concept of diplomacy, sovereignty, and birthed the framework for the modern nation state. So that's really what this whole treaty was about. And, you know, you could probably do a deep dive on context, talk about the parties involved and all that type of shit. But really, it's just about establishing. And it's funny because in the United States, we say, oh, we have separation of church and state. This document here states, oh, no, religion has always been involved heavily in every state, going even back to the Greek city-states. And today it's like, we like to say, and even in the Ottoman Empire, which probably, you know, I think historians give it credit for handling religion the best way, where it was like, look, you can worship whoever you want, however you want, whenever you want, just pay your taxes. If you do that, you're good. You know, in Europe, obviously they're beefing, and it's obviously, of course, about money and power and land and all that type of stuff, but it's always been intertwined. You know, we have "In God We Trust" right there on our dollars. We have friggin' "E pluribus unum," dude, which I don't even know what that means, bro.
Out of one, many.
So what's up?
I just know that because I looked it up for the show, pluribus.
Okay. Out of one, many.
Yeah.
Cryptic. Kind of sounds chill. But, I mean, that's about it with it.
It might be out of many one. I'm not sure, but it's one of those two. Unum feels like one at the end, but.
Yes, but then sometimes it's like the way they arrange their sentences.
Yeah.
It like always flip-flops. It's Yoda, dude.
Yeah.
Latin is very Yoda-esque. It's a fact. So basically, this is the era of diplomacy, bro. Ushers in an era of diplomacy. Are there wars after this in Europe? Of course. Abso-frickin-lutely. But this treaty put an end to the era of like just ongoing beef between these powers. And unknown to you, if you were a native in the Americas or really anywhere in the globe, at this point, you're about to get really, and you have been getting boned over, but you're about to really get boned over because of this piece. So, you know, peace is a double-edged sword, I suppose, in this instance. And I guess, I mean, the debate is also like, so if this doesn't get signed, does colonization happen? Is it as effective? Maybe not. Maybe, you know, the invasion from the native perspective of the colonists coming over, taking your lands, maybe it takes longer. Maybe you have time to group up and get together. Maybe disease doesn't spread as rapidly. They say the real true colonizer was smallpox. You know, and these European diseases, because people living in cities, and they've been able to develop immunities, you know, generationally to them, to diseases like smallpox, even though that disease did its fair share of damage in Europe. But when it came to the Americas, it just ravaged the more nomadic tribal populations. So just brutal. And so I thought this was also sort of telling, and it did have something to do with, and here at History is Dank, we keep it real with, you know, quote unquote, the New World. This treaty that ended a war in Europe held sway all over the globe. And it just is sort of, I guess, a microcosm for saying, you know, any decision you make or agreement you come to, you know, there's going to be fallout unknown to you, however benevolent or good you think you're being. But all we can do is our best. You know, it's good that this treaty was signed and these people came to a peaceful agreement. But, you know, the actions afterwards were rough. A lot of countries like Germany based their constitution. The fundamental law of German constitution formed on the basis of this treaty. And then all the way up into the formal dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire. In what year? 1806. Think about that.
Wow.
Yeah, Rome never truly, quote unquote, fell or lost full power. Like that was like the real draining of like the papal power in 1806 because of these treaties and spheres of influence and people saying, no, we're going to, or spiritual sphere of influence. No, in our city, we govern it this way. You don't have the right to come and do that. So I guess it was progressive in that regard, even though, like you say, maybe they wanted to be more strict. It was progressive in them being like, no, we're going to be worse to our people. But I guess it was like they gave them the choice to do that. Kind of strange. And yeah, because with Rome falling, you never really have, it really splits. You get this, quote, Eastern Orthodox, what they call Byzantium. That's just a term. There was never an empire called Byzantine. No one ever would say that back then. It was just, that's what we call it. That's the Greek Orthodox. And then in the West, you have the Latin, you know, Roman Catholic. And then, of course, from there, the Protestant split, and then beefing. 100 Years' Wars, 30 Years' War, 7 Years' War, 8 Years' War. Treaty of Westphalia. And then you get into your Age of Enlightenment, and you have all your revolutions. So, pretty crazy. If it doesn't get signed, more Europeans die. Maybe natives have more years of peace, you know, can, who knows, work together, build up better defensive, maybe have better negotiation, maybe, who knows. Probably would have been another war later on, more technology after. Cynical view.
Yeah.
But there you have it. Frank Herbert's Dune. No, I'm kidding. Everything affects Frank Herbert's Dune. I mean, that's freaking it, dude. I'm feeling thankful. I mean,
Thankful.
I'm feeling very thankful. I want to wish all the Danktorians and those that even don't celebrate. Thanksgiving is an American holiday, but I'll tell you, Thanksgiving is a global holiday.
Yeah.
And we celebrate around this time of year where you just tell another bro in your life, dude, you're friggin' dank. And then he goes, what does that even mean? Psh, you just dap it up. And that's it. So that's how you celebrate that. Don't even have to get together. Don't even need to see grandma and grandpa. Travel. It's the cheapest holiday in the world. You can even do it over the phone or FaceTime or text.
Yeah.
So reach out, tell your bro that he's dank. Pass it around and stay stoked, and we'll freaking catch you guys on the next step, dude. Friggin' lay, dude.